Welcome, people. If you've been listening to this podcast and enjoying it, I suggest that you join all the kind folks who have given a little back. You can make a contribution in any amount at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. Even for just $4 a month or a small one-time donation, you can get access to exclusive content, and you will help keep this podcast ad-free. Don't you want that? I want that. We all want that. Join us at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. Na 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 na, yeah, no, I don't do that. No, I don't do that. You know it's alright, you can ask, but I don't do that. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I don't do that. Episode 10.
Balls. I don't know. Balls always scared me. Like, throw a basketball at me and I'd be like, no.
Episode 10 is I Don't Play Sports. We're talking with Molly today, who does not play sports. Molly is a white woman in her mid-30s. She works in Minneapolis, Minnesota, teaching adult tap dance at Ballare Teatro and adult beginner flamenco dance with Zorongo Flamenco. She is also a new mother to baby William, who is with us in the studio today. Well, thanks for coming into the studio, Molly.
Yeah.
And bringing your baby. Is this his first podcast then?
I'm sure it is.
It's our first time having a baby on.
Yeah. Right.
So we're here to talk about how you don't play sports?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any exceptions right now, or is there anything that you do that could be considered a sport that you'd be down for?
I guess it depends on what people think of as a sport. So
Well, like I don't play sports, but people still assume that I'll like go bowling with them or go fishing or like maybe play pool.
yeah, I'll play pool or go bowling
Okay.
or do yard games. I
Okay.
think of them as games.
Games.
Yeah.
So would you play like horseshoes or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad had horseshoe pits in the backyard,
Yeah.
for sure.
Are you from North Dakota too?
Yes.
Yeah, it seems like a North Dakota thing maybe.
Probably is.
My mom's family is from there and they played horseshoes. That's like the first time I saw it, you know?
Yeah. Easy to set up. Just need horseshoes.
Right. And I guess those used to be common or whatever. But we had horseshoes a lot back in the day. So, yeah, fishing, you do that or...
I'm not a fisherman.
No.
No, not into that, really.
So there's a few things. Bowling, did we say that? Do you do that?
Yeah. I
Okay.
would go bowling,
Okay.
but just for fun.
Yeah. So none of those things would you do maybe competitively?
No, I don't think I would ever join a league or...
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your history with sports then?
I guess I never tried them even as a kid.
Yeah.
The only exception would be like if they forced us to play something in gym class because you had to do that.
Sure.
So like if I had to for a grade,
Yeah.
like we would play volleyball and I would play, but I wouldn't be excited about it. And I would not join the teams, even if they really needed someone on the team. Like my school was very small.
Yeah.
And so I think they could have really used me on the team because there were maybe 5 other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
5 other people in my grade to play like on the girls basketball team, for
Sure.
example. So they could have used that 6th person, but I just refused to
Right.
do it because I just thought, I don't play sports. I don't do that.
Yeah. You don't do that.
Yeah.
It's the name of the show.
Exactly.
And that seems to be maybe the crux of the story is that there was times when they needed you
Yeah.
and that you wouldn't do it.
No.
Right.
I would go watch, but I wouldn't play.
So how many people were in your school then?
I think I want to say there was 11 people total in elementary school.
In your elementary school?
Yeah. In my grade. Yeah.
Okay. So the whole school would have been like 60 or 70
Yeah.
students.
Small. Very small.
Yeah. And in the K through 6 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then did you have more in high school? Or?
Yeah. Yep. Because all the small elementary schools would combine. We had a 2 or 3 Catholic grade schools, and they all went to the same high school. So,
did you get people pressuring you or anything like that?
I feel like I don't remember getting a lot of pressure, but I remember my classmates kind of being like, could you just maybe help us out? But they didn't. It was kind of like I made it pretty clear, I guess, as a young person that I just wasn't going to consider it. So they didn't really push it. Okay.
So you asserted yourself well enough to where they didn't press the issue?
Yeah, and my family is not into sports, so they didn't really care if I didn't. It was my choice to do what I wanted to do, I guess.
Did you feel like they needed you? Did you ever feel bad about it, or did you have mixed emotions about it?
I don't remember feeling bad. I just remember, I think I was a person of conviction. Like, if I decided something, I kind of was like, this is what I'm gonna do. You can't change my mind. And so I wouldn't feel bad because it was just like, why would anyone think I would do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
I don't do sports.
Right. Well, that's good.
Maybe like a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, you kind of do them on your own terms, but you're not going to do it in like this organized way like they're doing at school.
Yeah.
And if you have to for class or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. And then in high school, it didn't matter.
In high school, you have to play like the sports for gym or whatever. But I never signed up even for cheerleading or anything like that, because that would be in the sports world. So I did all the artsy things, but never played sports.
And you still do the artsy things now?
Yeah.
You're a dancer.
Mm-hmm. And dance teacher and a little bit of visual arts and things like that. More for like a hobby, but
the dancing is not a hobby.
No, I have a degree in dance, and so I try to do that as much as I can because that's what I wanted to do going into college. And you do all sorts of other jobs to make money, but really my passion is dancing.
And you're a pro. You got a resume and stuff.
Yeah, I got a resume and a degree and all those things.
Right. That demonstrates athletic ability, I would say.
Yeah. There's a lot of, you have to train, quote unquote, or practice. And, I try to take classes, though it's kind of hard to do sometimes now with a baby. But,
right.
But, taking classes and things like that are important to keep kind of growing as a dancer. And I look for opportunities to like work with companies, and that always kind of makes me think about how I want to be as an artist too, and things like that. But as far as like, I guess I never like think of it in terms of I'm an athlete. I might be like an athlete, I guess, but I am not an athlete, if that makes any sense.
It does. I mean, I think for whatever reason, that's not a sport, I guess, like tap dancing and flamenco.
I'm sure it could be turned into a sport if you really wanted to, because there's dance sports. Obviously, there's competitive dancing, ballroom dancing, all these things that they actually call dance sports. And I never really got into that. Even dance, in my dance studio experience, I never did competitions.
Yeah. I don't know anything about dance sports. How do you feel about the competition aspect?
It wasn't something I grew up with, and even as a teacher, I kind of have avoided it, even though it's pretty prevalent in the dance studio world here where I live and just in general. I don't find it very... I can see that there's benefits to it for some people, but for being an artist, I don't find it very appealing or helpful, because it pushes just maybe a particular look or particular style as like something you have to really do well, but then it's hard to branch out and really do your own thing.
Mm-hmm. So it's not as open for creativity or interpretation or something if you're doing the competitive style?
Yeah. At least from what I can see and tell.
I've found, like, I've done some competitive things, very little, because I found I don't like it, but like a battle of the bands or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find, I mean, I don't see it that way, I guess. And there's all these TV shows that have, I guess there was a dance one too. You think you can dance?
So you think you can dance.
Right. Yeah, and there's TV shows where people compete as singers or whatever too. I guess I just thought of like arts as like playing in a sandbox and you don't really say who's better than anybody else.
And, you know, I can look at things and say I like that more than this other thing, but I think that sometimes it's just my taste or what I'm feeling that in that moment resonates. Somehow I see something and it resonates with me. Yeah. And it might not be particularly athletic and I still might really like it or enjoy it. I think about an artist that I saw, and his name, Jerome Bell, I think is his name. And like I saw him live, and he did this piece where he just like melted to the ground for an entire song. And that was all he did, and it was very abstract and sort of...
Was it real slow?
Weird, but yeah. But it was just very fascinating, and I was like, I'll never forget that, you know? But there was nothing athletic about it. It's just like, he's like, I'm gonna just slowly go from standing to the ground through this 3 or 4 minute song, and everyone watched him do it, and that was the piece, you know, so...
And that caught your attention, you remember it.
I'm like, that's cool. That's cool that someone can do that on a stage and get paid to do that.
Oh, it sounds great, like, just your description of it. It seems like it would take a lot of patience and focus, and control, I guess.
And it's not like he did a bunch of turns or jumps or anything, so that doesn't always impress me as an artist, necessarily.
The athleticism of it.
Yeah. Even though it's interesting, sometimes you'll watch YouTube videos or something will pop up on Facebook and it's this, you know, amazing performance of this dancer doing these things where you're like, how is that even possible? And it is amazing that what people can do.
Absolutely.
But like, I'm not interested in training and doing that myself, you know?
What are you proud of that you do in your dance?
I think some people comment on that I'm almost like playing a character when I'm dancing because I use facial expressions, not even on purpose, but I just am expressive. And sometimes people, that's not their taste, but I find a lot of people do like it and that they can connect with that somehow because it's not just about fancy moves. It's kind of like I could see like something was happening, you know, or you're telling a story or whatever. So I think that's something that I do naturally and well. And I'm, you know, some people might say, well, stop doing things with your face or whatever. And I find, I don't know, that's hard because it's kind of what I do naturally. And some people enjoy it. And so why stop doing that, I guess, you know?
Yeah. It doesn't sound like you want to, like it's what you're compelled to do sort of naturally, and you're not really inclined to try to rein it in at all.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. That makes sense to me. And it sounds like you probably get into it like you're conveying emotion, that you're feeling it.
Yeah. And maybe like I think the other thing that I do well or practice a lot is being rhythmic and musical and things like that. And so that, along with being expressive, I guess, are my strengths. So I try to play to them as much as I can. And
you do flamenco and tap mostly?
Yeah.
And are those, I don't know, is that sort of like expressive style? Like, is that characteristic of those dance modes, or?
I don't think it has to be. It can be, but it's not. Flamenco, it's almost like traditionally there's certain emotions that go with certain things. That's not to say you can't play with them, but there's a mood, a certain piece of music will be a certain style of dance, and that will kind of lead to a certain mood to a piece. So it's hard to go against that grain. It's a little bit, there are just traditional things you'll do, like one piece will be very serious if you do it to a certain piece of music, and it's really hard to not do it that way.
Yeah, like the whole thing, there's a gestalt about it. Like the music creates a mood and the dance creates the same mood, and they're working together to create that. And
some pieces are really happy, some are really somber.
Is that what shows on your face then?
I try to. And sometimes I think I take it pretty far. And then some people are like, I just don't want to see anything on your face. And I'm like, but I think it's more fun to do that way.
So you'll ham it up a little bit kind of on purpose.
Kind of, maybe not on purpose, but I just do. It's just what I do.
So back to the athletic thing then. Do you try to stay in shape? Do you have like a fitness routine? Do you have things that you do?
I wish I did. I wish I did. I try to do some yoga, but that's almost more mindfulness and just kind of feeling like I think as a dancer, you're aware of your body more, and so it's hard to not do something because you feel like poo if you don't do something. I don't know. If
you don't move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess a little bit of, I like to think I have some things that I would do, on a regular basis, but I just don't get to it sometimes.
Do you got other stuff that you do to move then when you're not dancing?
Take walks and just try to not sit around all day.
Yeah, wrestle with your babies.
Yeah.
Seems like that happens fairly often.
Yeah.
Playing with the kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right now. So, that's in prepping for teaching, running through exercises or creating dances for students, things like that. So.
Yeah, I suppose when you prepare to dance, you are moving. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're trying things out.
Yeah. But there's things I used to do more often that, just putting on a piece of music and moving around, things like that to get ideas for things. So
you do some of that freestyling.
Yeah, improvisation.
Yeah. That's the only style of dance that I'll ever do. I have a way of dancing. I don't dance with people. I don't have anyone show me any moves. It's impossible. Like I was in musical theater and it was so hard to just do steps.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't really copy people's movements very well. So, but man, I just love to dance. If there's a band playing or if I'm in a club or something, I'll just move. And I kind of look foolish because there's no script, Yeah. This isn't a dance. It's just me moving around, but
yeah,
it feels awesome. So I'm not going to stop.
No.
I'm not going to try and do it another way. And that's what I'm hearing from you. You're doing it the way really that feels good to you.
Yeah, I take from people. I mean, I try to learn from people who are better than me and study. And I think there's always things to learn from other people, but ultimately you are you and you look like yourself. So I keep that in mind when I'm creating something. Mm-hmm.
And that reminds me of what you said about just going back to the sports, about not doing that. It just really wasn't you. You know who you are, and you don't do that.
Balls. I don't know. Balls always scared me.
Oh, okay.
Throw a basketball at me and I'd be like, no.
Yeah, that's a projectile.
Why would I want to catch that? That's terrifying.
Stop it. So there's something to that, too. There's something about maybe the chaos of it or the props involved.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think I feel like birdies when you play badminton, that's about as fast as I want a ball to come in my direction.
Yeah. What's interesting is I was totally with you. I mean, because truthfully, I don't even go bowling or play pool, or I wouldn't even do any of that. I wouldn't play horseshoes. I'd just be have fun, and I would watch and hang out. Mm-hmm. But I'm totally not into it. So I was I could really relate. But one thing I will do is play badminton, though.
Well, yeah, so we can play badminton, I guess.
We should do that because it would be such a rare event that we both played a sport.
But not keep score, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. That's totally how I would do it.
Yeah, just hit it, maybe, or maybe not.
You just sort of play with the birdie and the
just watch
racket.
It and see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be an art piece.
It is an art piece. It's such a fun thing to watch that birdie just because it's weighted on one end. It's funny looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other, I don't know. I like to ice skate, but I never played hockey. I think it's pretty to watch figure skaters, and I think it's interesting that the competition aspect of it pushes people to do crazy stuff,
Yeah.
But I think it's just fascinating to watch as an art. I don't really care who wins or loses.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'd feel the same way. Not really into figure skating, but it is really mesmerizing to watch. Yeah. And I hear you about the competition aspect. That takes hold. I don't really participate in competitions, but like I would host them. Like I put on events and I see that as a draw. People are drawn to competition and it creates an excitement among audiences and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see why people would watch sports. I just don't really get into it.
Yeah. And so you don't follow any professional sports or anything?
No.
Does that ever put you on the outside?
I guess I hang out with artists, so and we do that together. And my family doesn't really follow sports, so the family side of it, I think my husband's family will watch football on Thanksgiving, and I'm kind of like, okay, whatever, gonna watch football.
Does he like football too?
Chase, my husband, yeah, he would watch a game if it's on, but we don't put it on at home.
Right. He's not like he has to watch it or looking forward to it all week or something. Nope. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny to me. I thought I'd be sort of sports proof, just to be, being an artist and a musician. But there's so many musicians that I know that want to watch the football game, and there's a guy who's not going to make it to practice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not anything I can even get mad about anymore. I just have to accept it, or be confused by or whatever. It's par for the course, to use a sports term. So
yeah, I think that it's almost on par with religion for some people, which is another thing that I find interesting, because they have that time where they're gonna watch. They have that time where they're gonna watch their football, and you better not. It's like church.
Yeah, there's something sacred about it. Something that they hold dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I compare politics to sports a lot, like American politics in particular, kind of the competitive, team-oriented view of it.
Yeah, luckily sports doesn't have to necessarily affect my day, my life.
Yeah, those guys aren't making the rules.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't have to vote for them or anything. So I don't really care what they do, as long as I don't have to pay for it. Yeah.
But it is like voting and cheering are very similar things, and they end up, people end up cheering for who they vote for and so on.
Yeah. Politics has become more like sports, that's for sure.
It has, since I've been alive. It used to be a very dry affair, and now it's all kinds of crazy exciting.
Super exciting, yeah. I guess I check on the results.
Yeah.
Just like I would check on the sports scores, perhaps, but maybe not obsessively.
Yeah, well, and there's a difference between just wanting to know the score and being really caught up in the game.
Yeah.
It's like, who won? Okay, good. Whatever.
Move on.
Well, do you feel like you're missing anything not being part of the sports world?
I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I never felt like I was missing out.
Is there anything that, if you could, take part of the sports world that is not in your life, and you could get that without actually having to be part of the sports world?
I don't know.
Maybe the drive or the camaraderie or something like that.
I get that from theater.
Sure.
So I don't feel like I miss out on that.
Uh-huh.
And maybe making money.
Oh, yeah.
That would be the only thing.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if athletes really make that much, most of them. Maybe the few do, but I wonder if I would make more money if I was, an athlete instead of a dancer. But
yeah, even if athletes don't necessarily make money, sports makes money.
Yeah.
That was something it took me, one of my college professors sort of went on a rant. He was a ranty guy, but he said, yeah, people want money for the arts, but the arts don't make any money. And he's like, that's what makes money is the sports, and that's why the money goes to the sports. That's why people get scholarships for sports, because the sports are what makes money. People buy tickets and they sit in those bleachers, and the people go to the theaters too, but they're small. And it's not a huge place. Yeah.
I participate in, or at least I try to in the past participate in Arts Advocacy Day at the Capitol. Uh-huh. And I think there's actually a lot of argument to say that arts does make money. Like there's a lot of capital in the arts in our state. We just don't think about it much. Mm-hmm. But like there are a lot of theaters actually, you know.
Yep.
There are a lot of theaters downtown that bring in music acts and all sorts of stuff. And
yep, or comedy or something like that, or like, yeah.
And there's people who make things, and, you know, there's a lot of small things that add up to a lot of money. You know, if you look at it enough, which they have all sorts of information out there on that to advocate at the Capitol and tell our legislators, like, actually, look how much money, you know, is in the arts and in our state. So I feel like
it wouldn't be the first thing that my college professor was wrong about. That guy was wrong about some things.
Yeah. Sometimes, you know, you don't make a lot of money because you do other things, but a lot of people make a little bit of money doing art, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've made my living for the past 12, 13 years as an entertainer. It'll be 14 years this year. So just as an artist and an entertainer doing music, either performance or production or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can do it. Right. Could I playing sports in my mid-40s?
Yes, yeah. Then you have to do something else, right?
Right. Well, did you have anything else you wanted to add? I think it's been a great conversation.
William, what do you think? I know. I think I'll always be... Well, I think that if sports weren't such a strong thing in our culture, we wouldn't even be like... It wouldn't be a weird thing to say, like, I don't do sports, you know?
Right.
But it is such a, like, big thing in our... I guess, in our world. Mm-hmm. But, you know, in American culture, there's certain things that you just kind of, it's kind of almost expectation that you have some involvement in it because it's kind of everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's pervasive. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's even artists, friends, like you said, that I know, some of my artist friends follow certain kinds of sports, and it's interesting to me when they can do both things, because, I don't know, they seem contradictory to me, but that's just me. That's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah. They do to me too, but I get that they're not. And it does seem that sports is part of the world. And like, you know, I studied anthropology too, and it seems as though like it's just always been and it's everywhere. Like in some capacity, there's sports, but also maybe particularly here that it's part of an American identity.
Yeah.
I hear that, because you hear, like, you know, the classic American identity is like mom and baseball and apple pie, right? Like,
yeah,
those three things I think you hear. Mm-hmm. So I'm not so sure how up to date that is, but
I don't either.
Yeah, but as a classic like American identity, a sport is involved in there, and I don't know if all nations would do that necessarily.
Yeah, I would say a lot do it, but the sport maybe is different anywhere you go, because, you know, some places it's football, soccer, whatever, you know, but it seems to be it's like a part of your identity of where you live.
Uh-huh. And there's a lot of people getting worked up. Like I find like that I can fall asleep during a football game. Because so little happens. It's like
baseball is even worse, though.
I know.
And golf is like even worse.
Oh, yeah. The golf game is on all day, and like.
And you know, my husband and I, we talk about like, oh, what if William like gets into sports or whatever? And there's certain things that I would be totally like fine with him doing, but like if he wanted to play football, I just don't know how I would feel about it. Uh-huh. And I think it's, I don't know, I'm not sure exactly how I'd approach that, but I just really hope he doesn't, because I just don't want to have to sit through football games, and it's kind of like a scary sport for young people to play.
They get hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and old people can't play it.
Right.
We'd really get hurt.
Right.
So, yeah, that's interesting because there's some parents, all they want is for their kids to play football.
Right.
Yeah. Be a football star. Had a boy. All right, he can be a football star now.
Yeah. I hope not.
I do know that kids tend to, in some way, they tend to leave their parents' habits. In some way, they tend to divert from what the parents do.
Sometimes.
Yeah, not in all ways, but in one way or another, they sort of become independent. And a lot of that's just through some kind of habit or activity. So, So we might sooner or later have William on the show saying, I don't do that. My parents do it, but I don't.
Right.
Whatever it might be. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what he wants to do. He's really into his ukulele, so we're encouraging his ukulele playing.
Yeah. He might just follow in your footsteps and just be another pea in the pod.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Well, it's great talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
William, can you say thank you?
Thank you, William. Listeners can find Molly on stage with the Flying Foot Forum at Park Square Theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA in April 2023. My name is Ocho. I am your host, chief engineer, and producer. I also composed and performed the theme song. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on this show, apply today at ochotunes.com/guest. Shout out to longtime contributor Aaron Nevin, who has interviewed me for my first members-only segment, Ocho Doesn't Stream His Music. You will be able to hear all about that soon at idon'tdothatpodcast.com/give. Thanks to Braden Salisbury for the background music for this episode. Thanks to our sponsor, Primetime Web, to our guests, Molly and William, and thanks to you for all that you do and all that you don't do. I will talk to you again if I am lucky. I don't do that.